Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, once again, it seems it's exactly as we've been calling it. This culture of chaos, radicalism, and violence, it stems directly from the left-wing universities. You know, these are institutions that are supposed to be of higher learning. But look at what has actually happened. They've become training grounds of intolerance. They take these young people and instead of molding them into stable, productive members of society, they fill their heads with resentment. They tell these kids, you're an activist soldier fighting in an existential battle against evil. They tell them that conservatives are their enemy, and then people are shocked when these leftist mobs form when somebody shows up with a different opinion. Or in the absolute worst case, where someone shows up with a sniper to kill the shooter in question. Like I've been saying, it's not just the Charlie Kirk situation, it's so many more examples. When conservatives show up on these campuses, the left very often shows us exactly who they are, and this latest incident at Tennessee State University proves the point perfectly. Let me show you guys exactly what happened here. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So we got a young group of Republican activists who showed up at Tennessee State University to do let's call it a Charlie Kirk-style campus discussion, civil dialogue, open debate, that's it. How do I know that? Well, I see these guys constantly on my X feed. They're no threat, they're simply there to talk, to have a conversation, and take a look at what happened.
Yeah, they threw a drink up top.
Oh my gosh, they threw a drink up top.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Did somebody just throw something in our car?
Arrest. Just try to hit the car. Still hitting the car. Whoa. That was loud.
Absolutely crazy, right? Now, TSU is a predominantly black left-wing university, and what transpired in that video is shocking. Students forming a mob, one kid shows up to the camera and starts screaming black power at them. People show up aggressively, surrounding them, yelling, until these kids were literally chased off of campus. Just utterly disgusting behavior, but kind of par for the course. We've seen this stuff before. I think it perfectly illustrates the culture that the left has cultivated on these campuses. This is a culture of intolerance where open discussion is discouraged, it's attacked. Well, at least if it's coming from the right. A culture where conservatives are demonized as racists. And so students think the proper response to disagreement is to form a mob and scream them off of campus, to intimidate them. And of course, where does this come from? Well, it comes downstream from left-wing rhetoric. The dehumanization and demonization of conservatives, when the left calls us Nazis and fascists and racists over and over again, day after day, eventually people start to internalize it, they start to believe it, and when you convince young people that your political opponents are evil, well, the mob starts to form. We could also connect this to the culture of intimidation. Remember what Maxine Waters said, right? She literally told Democrat voters to confront Republicans wherever they go, in restaurants, in public spaces, at their homes. The message was pretty clear. It's acceptable to harass, to intimidate people, as long as they're Republicans, because Republicans are not just opponents. No, they're our mortal enemies. And of course, at the core of all of it is this BLM culture, these false accusations of racism and fascism. That's the justification, especially in this kind of environment, where the university is predominantly black. These young people have been convinced by the Democrat Party and by all the race hustlers out there that anybody right of center is not just somebody that wants small government and safe streets. No, they are racists. They're basically KKK members. And so here's the result. Absolutely unacceptable what happened on this university campus. But if you listen to the news, it's the students who were the problem. Look at this headline from a local affiliate. Group removed from TSU's campus after, quote, unauthorized appearance. Tennessee State removes unauthorized MAGA group after campus confrontation. As if the university removed them from campus. No, they were intimidated and mobbed out of the campus. Not to mention, from my understanding, you don't need a freaking permit to show up and have a conversation on a university campus. We've been through this a million times before, where some power-tripping campus police officer or security, or even in some cases a teacher, shows up and says, you don't have a permit to be here, you MAGA chud, and they try to intimidate the person to be removed. But again, from my understanding, they have a constitutional right to be there. And well, I guess it depends if it's a private institution or a public institution. You definitely have the right to show up to a public university. And guess what? Tennessee State University, TSU, is a public university. I did some basic research. It's part of the Tennessee Board of Regents system and funded by the state, which means that the First Amendment applies there. You cannot remove people who are engaging in dialogue from a public space. But of course, the leftist media comes out not to condemn this horrifying mob behavior and the violation of these young kids' constitutional rights, No, the MAGA people who showed up simply wanting to have a conversation, they're the problem because they didn't have a freaking permit. What an absolutely backwards world. And of course, as usual in a lot of these videos, this isn't even the craziest clip of the week. No, we got more examples, more evidence of leftist intolerance, this time not on a university campus. We got another situation here involving a young YouTuber who, from my very limited view of some of his videos in the past, he's not even a right-wing guy. His videos are for the most part nonpartisan in his presentation. Well, he shows up to a leftist protest to film and ask questions, and guess what happens next? They identify him, obviously as a young white male, probably assume that he's a Republican, and go absolutely nuts on him.
Oh, he's Nick Shirley.
He knows me. I never said anything like that.
Charlie Kirk!
Why would I say that? Why would I say that?
He's racist!
No, he's not.
Yes, he is!
No, he's not.
He said if my pilot was black, I would question the
And he said
credentials.
black women got brain processing power!
Well, look at you.
He said black
Look at
women
you.
got brain
Look at you.
processing
Hey,
power!
hey, stop it. Stop it. Get off. Get off.
You don't understand!
Hey, asshole, you want to blame us, Charlie Kirk?
I ain't blaming you for Charlie Kirk.
Oh, why not? Every other right winger is.
I'm not blaming you.
The left is
Look at
right?
you guys.
You're getting what you wanted. This is what you wanted.
I didn't want any of this.
This is what you wanted.
I came here to talk to you guys.
You're getting exactly what you wanted.
Stop
We
the
don't like-
genocide!
Just unbelievable, intolerant behavior. Then, of course, out of nowhere, they start attacking Charlie Kirk, and one person seems to justify it by bringing up that same out-of-context quote that the left is posting all over social media. He said he wouldn't trust a pilot if he was black, therefore he's racist, and I guess we could celebrate his political assassination. Just shows you how backwards the thinking is in this disinformation bubble that these people live in. And yes, disinformation, because the implication is that Charlie Kirk was just being overtly racist, and that he hates black people. But what he was actually saying in the context of that clip was pointing out that DEI programs are pushing clearly unqualified people into positions based on skin color, and it kind of makes you wonder, did somebody get the job based on their qualifications or because of identity politics? That's a nuanced, valid critique. Was the statement itself a little bit pushing the edge, the boundary? Sure, but to spin it into Charlie Kirk's a racist, and then use that false narrative to justify either mob harassment of some random kid who has nothing to do with any of it, or the celebration of political murder, it's just completely out of control. And it shows you the radicalism that's being crafted on the left through misinformation, narrative building, and propaganda. If I could say it simply, I mean, these kids, these people that are being mobilized on the streets to LARP as some sort of freedom fighter, they're being failed by their professors, by the media, by a left-wing culture that feeds them disinformation and essentially has them living in some sort of fantasy land. They're being emotionally manipulated by left-wing propaganda, taught to see conservatives as not people with different view, but as monsters to be screamed at, to be chased away, to be silenced. It's right downstream from all the left-wing rhetoric and teaching that we've seen across the politics world, the media world, and the academic world. This is why you see these mobs. This is why you see this unhinged behavior, because the left has weaponized grievance. They've taken young people and they've filled them with rage and resentment. They've given them targets. These are the people that you must go after. These are the people that you can blame all of your problems on. They're weaponizing the rage of these confused youths. And I want to say another thing. I want to be as clear as possible here. You simply do not see this on the right. Conservatives do not form mobs and run left-wing speakers off of campuses. Conservatives don't scream in people's faces at protests because of some out-of-context clip. This is a uniquely left-wing phenomenon, and it is tearing the country apart. And if it keeps going on, at some point we're going to lose the ability to have any civil dialogue at all, if we haven't already. And maybe that's exactly what the left wants. Rather than debate, just inject toxin and venom, and then hope the mob does your bidding. What can I say, I guess, other than welcome to Clown World 2025?